we'll go through creating a deadline here in TimelinePI. So in the module list, let's bring up our deadline analysis module and configure a new one. So we'll name it estimate prepared deadline. And what we need to first start by doing is selecting an event to begin the clock, the timer, if you will, on our deadline. So we need to, once we hit a certain point of our process, we'll start the timer to run the deadline. And so we'll start our clock on adjuster assign. And you can use one or more events as your start on event selection. In this case, we'll want to start the clock as soon as an adjuster is assigned to process a claim. Okay, and if we have multiple instances of this event, do we want to use the first or the last? Do we start our clock? And then our expected events are what we're going to run up until the deadline. So these are the events we're going to calculate the time in between. And what we want to take a look at is the time that it takes in between an adjuster is assigned to a claim and that adjuster has an estimate prepared or submitted as a part of the claim. So again, we'll bring up our event list and check our estimate prepared. Now we have the ability to define a couple of time intervals, whether or not there's a specific amount of time that these two events need to happen, essentially an SLA on an adjuster to an estimate prepared step, and we can set that in hours, minutes, days, whatever the time interval may be. Or if there is a specific cut-on time, where if our adjuster is assigned by 12 o'clock on Monday, they need to have that done by 4 o'clock on the same day, or 1 day later, 2 days later, and so on. Okay, so if there's a specific time of day, for example, if something comes in overnight and we receive it, the clock on the SLA may not start until the morning after, which allows us to then set our deadline to begin at 8 a.m., for example, and say we have 2 hours from 8 a.m. to be able to then start the clock on that. Okay. Now for this example, let's just run a simple time interval, and we say we want that our adjusters to have their estimates prepared in less than 1 day from being assigned to a claim. All right, and we can save this, and then what we can do is then run it, and it's going to run this logic and tell you how many of your claims miss that deadline. And it looks like we have a large percentage, and now what we can do is apply a filter, and then we have now a filter down to the 27,000 claims that miss the defined deadline within our set. Now once you've saved this deadline, you can then utilize it as an alert so that anytime somebody misses that deadline, we're then notified. Okay, so I'll create a new alert. You see, you can select a specific deadline to be notified on if your data comes in and it has breached that specific logic.